All right, I'm going to try out 4 different colors of this rainbow holographic. I don't know if it's rainbow holographic, it's holographic cardstock here. And I want to try out some quick card applications. Now, the cards that I did yesterday, I don't consider them like a really long project or anything like that, but let's see if we can come up with stuff that, it's like a 5-minute card or something like that. Okay, so what we have here is kind of I think it's a pinkish tinge color. Let me see if I can show you what this looks like without all that reflective area in there. The card itself looks like that color right there, okay, without all these kind of reflective areas in there. You can kind of get a little bit of a gist of it like that. Okay, that's the color of the card. That's the color that I see, like without any light reflecting off of it. But look at this. I mean, it's like a mirror. So these darker areas in here are my ceiling up above, and then you have all these lights shining on it. Okay, so kind of a light pinkish tinge. This is what kind of interests me, or I don't know, fascinates me about this set here, is that the colors aren't so different from one another, but this one's a little bit of a darker pink. I don't know if I can even show you that right here, or if it even shows. I mean, it looks the same, but then there's like 3 different values of like a goldish tinge. Okay, can you see like that right now? Let me see. Let me see if I can see this color right here. That's a little bit of a darker kind of a golden yellow. And then this one's like a duller yellow right here. So it's a little bit different. Yeah, you can see it in that lamp reflection right there. Okay, so I mean, this is not a good surface to be doing a live stream on with my studio lights like this, because everything looks so, it's really difficult to show you kind of what's going on here. But let's see what we can do here. Okay, so I want to do some quick cards. I was thinking about kind of encircling these types of things and doing some splatter painting in there and seeing if that would be adequate to kind of stabilize this paper enough, and without going into too much of the brilliance types of applications that, I mean, it requires a little bit of a touch. I mean, every time I do it, I kind of have to get used to it again, kind of using that wet ink on that type of surface and then manipulating it that way. Okay, now quick thing, this is a multicolored pack that this comes in, and I noticed that this one color right here had this big dent like on all the samples going in there. So you might get some denting on your paper if you get this type of thing. I don't know. It's not something that I'm going to return or, request a refund over or something like that. If it was going 2 inches into it, and if it was my whole stack or something like that. But they probably compile all these things, and apparently they're fine with putting in, including kind of a pre-dented, you can see that right there. It does kind of affect that, but I'm going to be encircling this right here, kind of in a line your back and look at the stars type of composition. And let's see if that will work. I'm hoping that that will provide the necessary, in my opinion, the necessary stabilization of this type of surface here to make it usable for scenic stamping. This is kind of it's kind of its own unique look, and it does provide its own kind of vignette when you encircle this entire piece like this. It's like looking up at the sky. The trees are going back into perspective. Okay, so I'm always kind of aiming my finger at one area. It's just a general area. You can put a dot there if you want to. And just kind of aim all of your trees, or whatever you're using. If it's pine trees, then use the same vanishing point. If it's like a bush, you don't need to, okay? But I'm just trying to keep... Okay, now here I am just covering over that one corner there with that dent on there, and hopefully that kind of takes care of it. By the way, this is the Spruce Large stamp. This isn't quite a standard quarter page. It looks like on this pack of paper cardstock, what they do is it's 10 3/4 inch by 8 1/4. So it's like you lose a 1/4 inch in the width and you gained a 1/4 inch in the length for some reason. I don't know. It's probably the master sheet standardized size coming out of Asia, maybe. I'm guessing. Where they don't use legal 8.5 by 11. They use a metric type of thing. So I don't know. It's just it's a different shape, and I noticed that's not too much different from some of the other listings for other types of foils that I've seen out there. Okay, so I'm going with a different tree right here. This is the Leafless Pine. And I'm adding this. I might have to add more of the spruce, just to kind of stabilize this a little bit more. It is pretty crazy. It's like, I feel like what I'm doing is I'm stamping on like I don't know, it feels like you're stamping on a chrome, like, cylinder or something like that with these striations like that. So, or not, I don't know if it's striation, but those streaks in there, that type of patterning. Okay. Now, one of the things I'm wondering about too is, maybe I should have splatter painted this first with the stars, just to get that little bit of stable effect in there. I tell you what I'm going to do is I'll use a paint pen to go in there and add in some stars in there, okay? And this, it's one of those things. See, I mean, I'm going in with some pretty heavy imagery in here that stand out against that background like that. But two stabilizing forces is better than one. So, use whatever, is necessary. Okay, so I'm going in with more imagery than what I would typically do. Just because I need a little bit more of a perimeter, I think, in here. Okay, so really kind of filling it in. I don't think it looks busy. It doesn't look busy on this because the background is already just so intense that anything else by contrast is, as far as a stamping technique, it's rather, I don't know, it's tame and quiet, having all these trees on here. If I was stamping this over white, there would probably be a little bit too much of this tree texturing in there. But I don't know. On this, I don't know. You can those bands of darkness like that kind of obscure a lot of that type of thing that's going on in there. Okay, so that is that. I might go over with the bleed proof white here. That's going to be a lot faster. All right, so this bleed proof white to me was the solution for all of my woes when testing out this paper previously. Okay, and that's just trying to get the imagery to hold up against all that crazy background in there. Okay, now I'm going to try to not get this over those trees. It's going to be really difficult though, but let's give it a shot here. Okay, so that was all in StazOn. That StazOn's going to stick to that surface no problem, okay? And let's see if I can get this to show here. By the way, if you can't tell, this one is on that really pale pink surface like that. All right, there we go with that. Bleed proof white splatter painting. It needs a little bit more though, doesn't it? So let's go in with some extra white pen here. Okay, so what I'm looking for is I'm looking for some structure in those darker areas like that. Okay, so I'm taking my acrylic paint pen and I'll add in those, I don't know, maybe 2mm, I don't know, 1mm little dots in there for some additional scale to some of these stars. You can put it in the form of a constellation maybe. And here I can kind of go in and out of my trees very strategically here. I would put in some decent size ones in here. So this, when you do a little dot like that, it's 0.7mm. But it's just easy to do a little larger circle like that, and you can get a dot with more scale. Okay. It's hard for me to see on here. It's just, you know, this holographic, this mirror, it's like shining the light back up in my face here. I almost need to wear sunglasses. Okay, so let's see if that's showing up there a little bit more. Yeah, there we go. Something like that. Okay, now this shouldn't have to be spray sealed. I mean, you can, but I don't think it absolutely has to. What needs to be spray sealed if you use it is the Brilliance inks, because it's just really staying on the surface. The bleed proof white isn't absorbing at all. The acrylic paint pen is sticking on there, but as long as someone doesn't just rub their finger across this and just totally eradicate, you know, your applications, it should be fine. Okay, but now I am going to go on to it with some Brilliance over some of these stars, but it's not using so much so that I think spray sealing would be 100% necessary on here. Hello, CM Hawkins! I'm trying a quick card application on these scenes right here, or foils right here. Okay, let's try this right here. Okay, so I need a little bit more and a contrast, I guess, in here. It could be a textural contrast, but it's also, I'm really going for something light in here. Okay, now someone asked me about using some Brilliance ink as a block, I already found that term that I use, a blocking out type of effect, but I think on this foil like this, if I block out the background with some white, we can try it though, and I stamp over it with StazOn, I think it's just going to remove the brilliance as opposed to applying the StazOn over the white. Okay, I don't know, maybe we could test it out in this one, in this live stream here. Okay, I'm making a lot more of these stars glow than normal. A lot of times I just kind of keep to, I don't know, just a few, but this is just, it's such a crazy surface right here that, I don't know, I think we need to go for a little bit more like that. But see, these glowing stars stand out a little bit more like that. Hello, Donna! Okay, there we go. All right. Okay, now I think this would look better with a little bit of a vignette around it, but the point of this one is to, this video is to just try to get some decent applications of this, of the stamp. Oh, here you can see what I've done here. Okay, so the impressions are all in StazOn black, okay. And then the white, you kind of see those dark little spots in here. That's the bleed proof white splatter painted in there. And then those larger kind of, you know, little balls, they look like dark balls right there because that white is darker than the reflected light coming off of this surface like that. So by contrast, it just looks dark. But that gives it those, glowing little lights when you're looking at it like this. So I think that looks pretty decent there. And I don't know, let me see. What is the timestamp on this video right here? Okay, is that, I don't know. This took like something like 5 or 10 minutes. And there really wasn't a lot of technique on there, okay? I just stamped out the things, splatter painted, and put a few dots in there. There's no toning or anything like that. But like I said, I think it would look a little bit better if I did add a little bit of a vignette around here just to contain those bands in there. But I do think it looks pretty cool like that. And I think this would look really great with some crystals applied in there. All right, but look at that right there. I don't know. It's just, it's a wild surface like that. Okay, that was the lightest color right here of foil. Okay, that's the color right there of the foil that I'm using. It's just this really pale, it's kind of a warm, very pale pink, okay? And that's what that cracks me up like that when it, it's just so different with the reflected area in there. Okay, let me see it. Without my lights on here, I'm trying to give you an idea of what this might look like without, my studio lights on. And it looks a little bit different, okay? It's just going to look different at every angle that you use. So I don't know. There's no set way it kind of looks. It just, the end result's going to have a ton of different personalities like this. Okay, so I did the entire perimeter like that too, just kind of block things off up here, and then I didn't have to kind of, add a darker tone around there. If I do that, if I just have trees down here and this all goes up in the sky like that, it's almost too much in terms of kind of a non-containment, okay? I don't know if that's the term. But let's go in. Okay, so I splatter painted post impressions. Let's splatter paint this one first. And let's just try to get a background going on in here. And then we'll just go right over it with the imagery. I hope the imagery will stamp on there. Nice and dark and black. I don't know if it will or not, because the splatter painted paint on here is going to be kind of floating on this surface. It'll float enough. I mean, it's not going to wipe off if I just touch it like this or something, but if you do wipe it like that, those little, beads of dried up white paint will come off. Okay, so just keep that in mind. But let's test it. I think this would be the better process if this would work. So let's do that. And if it does work, that'll be great for us, because we'll have, a little bit more of a, I don't know, kind of a straightforward process in here, where we don't have to. On this one right here, I do have some overspray of the white paint on those trees like that. It's not too big of a deal, but, when you have the white and over the trees, it looks like I don't know, like snowfall or something like that. Again, which isn't bad. Okay, let me see if I can go for a little bit more of a kind of a Milky Way type of thing. I'll go for a little bit of a, I don't know. It's kind of like a little bit of an S-curve type of thing. Okay, I'm going to go more extreme. I'm using, I don't know, 5 times the amount of spray that I normally do. When I'm splatter painting my surface, just because of this foil, it's just, I wouldn't say, I'm tempted to say it because it's too much. I don't know, it's not too much, right? But it's a lot. Okay, so there's that spray pattern in there, okay? Okay, now we need to vary that again. But again, see, that white within that space, it's stable, so it's just not, moving around. You don't have a card in the background, just like water and moving around everywhere like that. We have some stable types of kind of structure to that background like that. And I think that's kind of necessary with this. But what is interesting like this, look at this, right? This band right here to me looks like it's close, and like that color in the background looks like it's behind the dots, doesn't it? So you get some dimension just from, you know, splatter painting. There, can you see that splatter paint on there a little bit? It's really fine mist. You can't really tell too much, but I don't know. You get that depth with doing one thing, okay? This is different paper than you used in the Stamping Wars. Well, I didn't use this paper, but who was it? Stacy used it on her card, on her main card that she was doing. But I was told that this is the one that they use because during Stamp Wars, you know, they gave me the link for the paper. And yeah, it's the same one. I'm trying to think. Did anyone else use a different foil? I'm trying to think if anyone else used a different foil in there. I don't remember if they did or not. Okay, so let's see right here. Okay, so we need to give a little bit more variation on. I'll put some of the larger stars within this band, you know, this Milky Way type of band right here. And again, I think using crystals on here would be really awesome. You would get a little bit of a reflected quality by gluing down some clear crystals. I guess on these ones, I mean, if you had colored crystals, you can do some sort of color scheme with it. I have like a box of assorted amethyst ones, and I have like aquamarine blue ones, but my favorite ones are the clear ones. And I think those would look really great on here. I mean, talk about, you know, giving a card to someone with, you know, a lot of bling. That would be a pretty crazy card to receive. In terms of impact, visual impact, that's for sure. Okay, so here comes some white paint pen work. Maybe you can even use like a, you know, 3mm one on here. I don't think it would be too bold or out of the question, you know, using something so large like that. I'm talking about like something like this, you know. And again, I just, you know, we have to do like these extra things and kind of go a little bit overboard just in order to match the, you know, the visual, the volume of this piece. See that right there? See, do you see those larger stars in there? If you don't have those kind of that varied size in there, it kind of looks, it doesn't look, I don't know. It doesn't look as good to me. It needs these different size, you know, points of light like that to me look more realistic as a surface, but also it reads more as stars like that. But see that right there? I don't know. I think it's kind of cool like that. Someone posted a reply to my post on Facebook. They called it light pillars, I think. And she showed me a photograph, and I thought, okay, so, you know, these don't look so much like Northern Lights unless light pillars are another name or a type of Northern Lights, Aurora Borealis, but that's what these look like to me. I should title, you know, my thing, or these pieces, light pillars or something like that, because that's what this really looks like. Okay, so that is that. All right, so that is the most stars I've ever used in a background. You know, sometimes doing these types of things where you have to kind of go a little bit more extreme, it kind of improves your technique sometimes, because I think that looks really good in there, you know? Maybe I should go more extreme on just, you know, standard pieces of paper or just, you know, regular blue foil or something like that. I think that spray patterning like that would look pretty cool on there. Okay, so let's see if this stands up against my my impressions like this. Okay, so here's what I'm thinking could happen on here. I might stamp out these trees on here, and then instead of transferring this ink onto the StazOn, I might go like this, and that StazOn kind of works like a glue almost, and it's drying on the rubber as well as the surface like that, but I'll remove it, and I'm just removing a bunch of that white on here. I'd imagine it's going to be a little bit of both, but hopefully it will be more transfer than removal, okay? All right. One of the things I was really careful about with this one, doing this, is I re-inked my StazOn pad before doing this. Okay, let me see. I'm going to make my vanishing point that star right there, that large one right there. Okay, so every time I stamp it, it'll be like laying on your back and looking up at the star type of things, type of effect. Or should I just go right across the bottom like this? I don't know. I like those light pillars like that, more vertical too. I can just go right across the bottom like that. But again, it's a little bit open on the top like that. That kind of bothers me a little bit. But that doesn't look too bad like that. See, if it's like this, that's not a problem. But it's when it's like that. You know, it's just so bold. Let's do it. Let's do it a little bit different from this one. This one's like a little encircling of this, okay? Let's go with this one. Okay, but here's what I'm going to do, though, that I normally don't do, okay? I usually don't use like a really super large portion of this because I'm covering up so much of the paper, but kind of in order to not minimize, but to decrease a lot of those super light, you know, wide pillars of light like that are almost too much. I'm going to try to cover some of that up just so it doesn't dominate from top to bottom the entire scene like that. All right, that didn't go too bad. I'm looking at this right here. I'm looking to see if there's a bunch of little dots on here. I do see some of that Dr. Martin's paint on there. It's not too bad though, so I don't think it's going to be a problem. Okay, now a lot of times too, with these trees, what I would do if I was stamping them out, I would leave some space in between, some like over here, but I think I'm really going to fill that space in a lot more. Oh, are you talking about this one here, Alicia? It's interesting because this one right here, it looks totally green. I agree with you. But see like that color right there? That's what color this paper is. It's more, it's like gold like that, but it looks like that with all that reflection on there. Oh my God, that looks really cool like that now. Huh. You get all kinds of different colors in here. Yesterday I was trying to photograph these pieces, and I was just trying to get some color that I saw reflected off of there at the right angle again, you know, for the thumbnail of the videos I was posting. I couldn't get it again. it was short-lived. It was like, oh my God, where was it? You know, I was trying to change the axis, you know, kind of rotating like this, this, and this, and this, and I just couldn't get it. See, it's like little light pillars when you go like that, when there's less reflection, and then you go like that, and it's huge. And then, of course, it's different going like that, you know. Okay. Oh, okay, now here's the thing. I know what happened yesterday now, looking at this piece right here. Do you see these two impressions right here? How they're darker than this one? I don't know if it's showing on there. This one right here has a little bit of a bluish tinge. I was holding this one down longer, okay? And I think what happened is when I was doing that yesterday on this piece right here, I held down this impression longer so that impression got a little bit more of a bluish tinge, okay? And that's because I was holding the Lakeside Cove down, I think, too long before I kind of lifted. On this one right here, I was holding down a little bit too long. And I think what's happening is that StazOn ink is setting up on the rubber as opposed to transferring over. And what I did was I just removed that, and it removed a lot of ink on here as opposed to transferring on there. Okay, you can use that for kind of strategically too if you want kind of a lighter tree looking like it's in the background. I'm going to try to put one over the top of it now, right down here, and hopefully it comes out a little bit darker so that that tree right there looks a little bit farther back. I don't know if it really shows. Yeah, this one's a little bit darker. I stamped it down here. Okay, so that, yeah, there's a little bit of depth there. Not huge, but not too bad. Okay, okay, there you go. See that one right there? Darker and a little bit lighter like that. So let's see how that, see that lighter one in the background is a little bit more translucent. You can see the colors showing through it. You know, what isn't necessarily, it's not necessarily a bad thing, but I would, you know, be aware of that so you can control, I don't know, the effect that you're going for, and just, you know, look out for those types of things. It is intense, that's for sure. It's glaring in my eyes here. This is the type of paper, if you're going to, you know, for it's, you know, it's for all of us too. But if I'm doing something, and if I'm stamping with kids, which I've done in the past, a lot of people always tell me, hey, you know, you make things look so easy. I'd never be able to do that. And I tell people, and I'm not lying, you know, we've had classes with preschoolers. We did 2x2 stamp board too, and, you know, and we didn't touch their pieces, and all their, I wouldn't say all of their pieces, but most of their pieces didn't come out any different than mine. And they weren't just stamping, they were doing 3 layers of blue tones to get, you know, a transitioning value scheme on their tiles, and it was stamp board, so they were going back in and adding kind of the reverse marks into it and scratching back into their surfaces and adding stars. Not like this, you know, where there's a gazillion of them, but I don't know, they added, you know, 5 to 10 stars on there. And, you know, there's no problem. But I would do this type of paper like here. I'd, you know, break out some StazOn ink or something like that. You'd have smaller stamps. You wouldn't stamp out something this large where they're going to have to handle, you know, large stamps or something like that. You know, I'd have, you know, stamps, you know, at most like a 2x3 or something like that. But you can stamp their trees or something like this, or do Christmas ornaments. I was usually put in charge of doing things like, oh, like the Christmas gifts for the parents or something like that. Someone would find out that I do, you know, that I'm in the stamp industry, so, you know, the teacher would say, hey, you know, I hear you, you know, you do crafting. Do you want to, you know, handle the parents' gift, you know, thing? So we'd come out with, you know, some projects for the kids, and I did that in preschool and then again in kindergarten. Okay, so this is a taller tree, and I'm really covering up a lot of space here. Going up like that, all right. See that right there? And I went a lot higher than I normally do, okay? And again, it's just to cover up some of that area. But yeah, I don't know, a couple little trees. You can do like I would do like this size right here. This side was, this isn't the holographic one, but you know, you do a little piece like that, and that would be awesome for the kids. They don't have an orange one where there was like where there'd be like a Halloween or something like that. You know, if you had like a pumpkin to stamp out or something like that, or some holographic. And then maybe they can use like a stickles or something like that to do like some embellishments or something. That'd be really cool. I don't know if it'd be like this holographic paper. You can use like the Recollections one or something like that. But I don't know, this one would be a lot more wild for them. Okay, so that is a couple impressions of the leafless pines. This was the smaller one right here. Okay, and we get that. It's not, you know, it's not. Look at that right there. Isn't that awesome? I love that blue. And this is a pink. This is the pink surface one. It's this. Let me show you. It's this pinkish color like that. What they do on these surfaces to get those, holographic looks, I don't know, astounds me. Okay, so that is that. Let's go on and add in some textures to it. So again, pretty easy to do. It's just splatter painting the background. I think that was the way to go on here, so we can just stamp the trees right over that splatter painted background. I would re-ink your stays on pad so that you get a pretty good transfer of that ink to the surface. If it's kind of a drier kind of impression that you're laying down there, I think it's going to come out with that kind of more anemic look, and you might be removing a lot of those stars that are underneath the stamp when you're making that impression like that, okay? I would leave as is, add a sentiment. Yeah, sentiment would be great on here. It certainly is an evocative type of piece. If you have some, I don't know, there'd be a lot of sentiments that would be really cool on here. Okay, so let's go in. Okay, so I am going to add in some brilliance in here. But again, I don't think it's so much brilliance ink. It's just such a light application of this where you really don't have to spray seal. If you add in a lot of brilliance ink or certain types of media on here, you really will have to spray seal it, especially like the Northern Lights one that I was doing yesterday where I added a heavy vignette on the perimeter, which I do think would make this look better, okay? But again, we want some kind of easy quick card styles of applications. I don't know if this card's like a quick card. I don't know what we consider a quick card. To me, if it's something that takes like 10, 15 minutes, it's pretty fast. Or as long as it's just like really easy techniques, okay? Splatter painting, straightforward impressions right over the top of it, One of the things that's, I don't know, I wouldn't call it frustrating because you never want someone to take a look at your card and say, oh my God, that looks really nice. How easy, boy, that must have been easy to do. You don't want that kind of response. But when you get a lot of people saying, oh my God, that's so, cool or whatever, but I would never be able to do it. I'm thinking, this is just stamping those images. It's two stamps right over the top of this foil like that. The foil's doing all the work, or a lot of the work, in terms of the visuals on here and how kind of I don't know, it's adding, I'm just kind of enhancing, or I don't know if I'm enhancing. It's almost like I'm subduing kind of in many ways here, but the foil is the thing that's doing all the work. I didn't do the background or something like that, and through some kind of alchemy or something like that. The paper's spectacular enough as is. We're just stamping over the top of it like that. But here's those kind of those glowing looking stars in the background, and I added way more than I normally do. Okay, I've been talking about it here. Let's try out some crystals here. I have my Barely Art Precision Craft glue. The viewers of this channel told me which glue to get. I was using this other one for years, and I didn't even know about these kind of precision types of applicators like that. I had to ask everyone a bunch of like questions about things like storage with this. And in the instructions, it said don't just use that pin there to store, to seal off the cap. But I don't know. I asked online, and everyone said, "Oh, I just use that pin. If it gets a little bit clogged, you just kind of go in there, and just clean it off. It takes like a second." So, thanks for all the tips that you guys give me when doing these types of things. Okay, so multicolored size, not multicolored, but multi-size, just clear crystals here. I think I'm just going to go with the clear. And I think I'm going with some of the larger ones. And again, when I'm doing this type of thing right here, I'm thinking about doing some of these things. I think my volunteer days with the kids is over after middle school. But I'm still kind of in the mindset of coming up with projects for kids. Maybe it's the kid in me, maybe it's the something I wished I was doing, or the project I would have had, or something like that at that age. All right, maybe those are too big to do all of them that way. Okay, I'm looking at my monitor right here, and those things really stand out pretty good on there like that. See that right there? Okay, so let's add in some of these much smaller ones here. Boy, how small do we want to go? All that after I already flipped them over. Okay, now here's my problem here. Okay, I think I see them. I'm kind of looking at an angle at my piece here just to see where I added those little drops of glue, because it's kind of hard to see those little drops of glue on there. I know I added one down here somewhere. Oh my gosh, I think I lost it. Okay, there we go, right there and there. You're gonna have to hold it up at an angle. You get this mirror kind of surface kind of shining back in your face. And again, I always talk about this. I didn't take the time to do this, but I would do these crystals like in a constellation or something, to put it in do it in your favorite constellation configuration or something like that. There we go. Okay, so let's see here. We get that. All right, so you have something like that. Oh my God, look at that blue pillar right there. It's like red, white, and blue almost, like that. See that right there? Okay, so you can't see the crystals too much, right? But then if you hold it at a different axis like that, see those crystals kind of showing up like that? Here, I'll show you where the crystals are right here. Okay, can you see them right there? The ones that are kind of standing out a little bit more. And you can do one of those things too. You can make those glow. You can put a little bit of that white pigment ink behind it, with Q-tip, and then put that over the top of it, so you have this crystal that's sparkling, but it's also glowing. I did that on a couple of these ones. But there you get that like that. Oh, I love that look. It's so hard to kind of think of this as that pinkish color up there, huh? But it is. So anyways, nice and blingy of a surface. I think that's the scientific term, right? Blingy. If you have like a stickles or something like that too, I mean, you can add something like that in there if you're mass producing this or something. For, I don't know, a Christmas card or something like that. I think it'd be kind of interesting. I don't know what color you go with, for if you're doing something like this, if it really even matters, if you go with any kind of thing that's kind of real sparkly and crystal, silver and gold types of things. I think it could be, a Christmas card or something like that, It'd be a little bit of an unconventional one because it's got all those different colors in there, but why not, It doesn't have to be so, traditional, If it's coming from us, right, we're card makers, right, We want people to kind of, get their attention and whatnot. Kim, you can get this on Amazon. It's in the description section of the thing. I didn't put it in the description section yet, but I'll format that. But if you look at the video from yesterday, it'll have a link on there. The link goes to the the page on Amazon that has it. There's about 3 or 4 options, I think. This one's the multicolored pack. You know, I don't know. That's the one that I would recommend. And there's like 4 or 5 sheets of about 5 or 6 colors in there. All right. So I don't know. I don't think these look too bad, in terms of an easy type of process type of thing. The thing that takes a little bit more time is if you're doing that toning, like with this. I don't have that piece that I did just yesterday because I was going to go spray sail, but it was too windy. But I added, this kind of this vignette around on the edges, with a lot of the brilliance black, okay, just to kind of contain the imagery a little bit more. But I'm looking at it like this, and I think it could be improved with a little bit of a vignette in here and darkening up of that. It's when it looks like this right up here that it looks so, off the page like that. But if you go like this, it's just at certain angles, it looks kind of strange like that. But look at this right here. I don't know. To me, it's like, it's like putting some kind of something in motion or having some sort of like light effect on your card without having to have any kind of thing attached on there, like, LED lights and stuff like that, I think are really cool to do in terms of a little construction. But, you just get that kind of inherently in this, and, anybody that is going to be looking at a card that you send them, they're going to have some light in their room somewhere. So, and it'll be different, depending on what light is on there. So they might have it in hand and, it'll look one way, and then they might put your card on the mantle or something like that. And they'll be looking at your card from across the room, and say, oh, what, that's like totally different. And I have a feeling, I don't know, but I think the attention's going to go straight to that card. Not that you're trying to outdo everyone else, that's, out there, but, when someone's walking across the room too, it looks different from a different angle. Like I'm putting my head, at a little bit of a different angle, and it looks like it's doing this a little bit, as I change my viewpoint because the lighting is hitting it differently. So it's looking like it's moving, just being static. Here I'm moving the card here, but if you're kind of walking across the room, it's going to look a little bit different. And then someone has some Christmas lights or something like that going on, in their room or on their tree or something like that. And if that light's anywhere close to it, it would be kind of cool. I think you can make, like I said, you can make little kind of ornaments or gift tags like, this size right here, like a 2x2. On this type of paper, you can do like a little mini scene on there, with a couple trees like that, just in this little corner section like this, right? Right down in here. I think that would be really cool up on a tree or something of that sort. So, yeah. Okay, let me see. Did someone ask any questions? Okay, Alicia ordered the blue pack after Stamp Wars. I'm not sure. See, I saw Stacy using that blue one, right? And I was thinking, that blue one didn't come in this pack right here, in this multicolored pack. So, yeah, it's like a light blue, right? Let's see, Amazon. Yeah, the Amazon link's in there. And it's reasonable too. I've seen some of these foils that are like $1 a sheet, which I wouldn't buy myself, but I don't know. What was it? Lacey, how many sheets came in that pack? Was it like 30 or something like that? I think there was 30 or something like that. I don't know. I'm not on the web right now, so I can't tell. But, yeah, Alaskan Winter Night, yeah. And Donna said, yes, reflected off a candle. That would be awesome. It'd be awesome, Donna, if you did some kind of like a piece like you know, like this, okay? You know, if I did some trees, and then if you put it on a card, like a seam, and then if you had some sort of like a votive candle or something like this, or even one of those LED little candles that look like a, you know, and then you put it like right in here. Wouldn't that be awesome with this little flickering light in here? Maybe it'd have to be a real candle or something like. I don't know. If you do that, be careful. Don't burn your house down. You know, I don't know how flammable this type of thing is or something like that. But yeah, some sort of lighting type of thing, or just if you had some kind of Christmas lights or something like a little 10 string of lights or something like that, kind of flashing in here, reflecting off of this surface like that. But yeah, if someone had like a little thing where they opened it up like that, and then they could put like a little candle in it, I think that would be really awesome. Yeah. Yeah, yeah. Great idea. Okay, let me do one more quick one right here. Let me try something else besides the the pine trees. I'm going to see if I can get something heavy enough on here with some other kind of deciduous trees. And okay, let's see what time it is right here. This is 5:38. Let's see if we can do this really fast. Okay. Again, I want some nice quick applications on here. I'm kind of figuring things out right now. So it wasn't that fast, but again, these are like simple processes right here. Kim, you got all 3 different packs now. Wow. What colors were there? I know there was the multi-pack. And what Alicia said, was Alicia, you said you got the blue one? And then what other color was there? Okay, so I'm going to splatter paint this background, okay? Now, that other one I went with kind of this little kind of, you know, little S-curve type of thing, you know, thinking about the, uh, like a Milky Way type of thing. I'm just going to fill this up a little bit in here. Okay, I'm not going to go too much. Well, maybe I will go on the perimeter. Okay, let me just do the whole thing. I guess, you know, if I stamp some, you know, some branches and stuff out on the perimeter like that, I want some of that splatter painting texture. Let me see if I can hold this at an angle where you can see what I'm doing here. I think my brush is a little bit dry. Everything's coming out kind of uniform. I got a little bit of a... See, when it was a little bit more wet on the brush right here, maybe I should reload once in a while. I got a little bit more variation on there, okay? So again, so see that right there? It's giving me something stable that's not moving, and it's like the lights are moving through the stars like that. When I don't do that, it's just everything is moving everywhere. It's like liquid or something like that. So for me, that was personally, that's the solution for me because I'm a, you know, I'm doing scenic stamping, so I need something stable in there. You know, you can use, you know, that it isn't like a scenic stamping surface right here by any means. You can use it with all kinds of things. I would use it with your kind of bolder imagery probably. If you stamp out some kind of thing that's like an outline design, I just don't know if it's going to show up or not. If I did something like that, if I had like an outline style of design, I would probably stamp it on something else, color it in like some cardstock and cut it out if you can, and then paste it down on this type of thing going on in the background, you know, wherever you want it to be, Northern Lights or whatever. Okay, so that is that. Let's give it some mass with some of these larger pieces like this, okay? Oh, it has 4 different blues in there. Oh, I didn't even look at the other sets. Now that might have me getting that pack then, that blue one. I didn't want a pack with like 30 of the same ones. Like I don't want 30 of like this color either. I don't know if that was my only choice, you know. I guess I did buy some like a 60 pack of red foil. And this is kind of more, I don't know, spectacular than that one. I don't know, maybe I would. I guess I have, you know. But now that I know that it's in a multicolored, multi-value pack, value in terms of different color, different darknesses probably. That's what it is, right? Is it, or is it different hues of blue, like a warm blue and cool blue or something? Okay, orange pack is variety. Yeah, green pack. So are you saying that the green pack, are there different colors of green in there too then? The blue one comes in three, different tones of blue, right? Okay, different. Yeah, yeah. Okay. The red pack looks. Oh, reds and pinks. Okay, now that might be like this one right here. This one might be like the reds and pinks, like right here. Okay. The thing that I want to know is, I've seen someone use this paper about a year ago when I was doing some Northern Lights types of things on just the rainbow holographic that looks like this. Okay. And then when we were all looking around, I was trying to. There used to be a lot of holographic cardstocks out there. Okay. And then I didn't realize that over the past few years, it seems like they became increasingly scarce. And there just wasn't as many. There weren't as many options. Like Chrome Coat was out of business, and a lot of the other paper companies, the larger paper companies, were out of business. So what we were finding was a lot of the vinyl holographics. But I did see this kind of holographic pillory type of thing. To me, it looked like laser beams or something like that. I did see someone use that, and I thought, oh, that's kind of an interesting paper that they're using. It's more of these like thin layers, little bands of color. I don't think it was this particular one, because this one looks a little bit different, but it was similar to it. But I don't know, I just didn't think to get it. I thought it was too, I don't know, maybe specialized, and I wasn't quite sure, how the imagery would look against it. So I don't know, now I'm thinking, I don't know, louder the better or something. It's a challenge, when I go into certain types of, I was thinking about it yesterday after doing that piece yesterday, and I was thinking that after I did that piece, it was a little bit, the live stream yesterday, was it yesterday? It seems like much longer time ago, but it was a little bit tiring, because it felt like going into the scene, I was like, it's like you're working with like a, if you're going to, I don't know what analogy would be good, but like if you're going to go horseback riding or something like that, and you got this perfectly, your regular horse, completely tame, and you're going out for a, afternoon ride after work or whatever, it's nice and relaxing. But then I was thinking about this paper, it's like, man, you got this like wild, bucking, I don't know, like a wild horse or something like that you're trying to tame and corral a little bit, just so you won't get like killed. And then, we kind of contained it, a little bit and made it kind of work for you, but you still want it to be kind of wild, because that's the spirit of this piece like this. You don't want to just obliterate all of the, the particular characteristics that make it special. But I don't know. There's a little bit element of danger, crafting danger. It's all relative, right? Crafting danger. All you have to do is, like, if it doesn't work out, you throw away the card, as opposed to breaking your neck. Okay, so there's my stars in the background. See that right there? See those little glowing stars like that? All right. God, this is so wild here. Every card, every one of these. This one's, so that goldish tinge right there, someone was mentioning the greenish tinge, right? And this one does have a little bit more of that green. Look at that flame like that. Oh my gosh. So bizarre. Okay, so let's take a look at some other types of imagery on here. Let's add in some crystals on this one. And, but don't add those crystals in until, if you're going to stamp out your imagery, right? It's easier to work the crystals around your stamp impressions than it would be for, to work the stamp around the crystals, if the crystals are kind of on the perimeter area like that, okay? One of the things I haven't done too, I don't like doing it, but you can probably is you can stamp out your imagery in like a black pigment ink and then emboss in clear. Okay, but I don't like using heat on my foils too much. Stacy was doing embossing on hers and it looked just fine. And she wasn't having any problems with this, but sometimes when I do apply heat to these types of metallics like that, it gives it that kind of rainbowy type of look, which you can use to your advantage or strategically too. But if you leave that heat on there too long, sometimes it starts to pucker the surface of whatever's on these types of surfaces. It's like this little plastic layer or something like that. And you want to be careful about that. And also applying heat to this type of paper like this. One of the things I hate is, it makes it kind of buckle like that. So, it's not too big of a deal because all you have to do is counterbend it back into, flat, a flat card. But it seems like it never really flattens out completely, so it's always a little bit buckled. If you're going to mount these up, I mean, it kind of takes care of it, but I don't know. I just assume, or I just prefer keep these things flat without applying all that heat to it. And if I'm doing like a lot of imagery like on here, that's a lot of surface area that I would have to be applying that embossing powder to, right? So, yeah, I don't know. But again, one of the benefits to embossing on here is you'll get that three-dimensional impression on here, which is going to be rising above the surface. So you'll get maybe a little bit more of a dimensional look to it. And that's what we're kind of going for here. That's, we're getting a lot of dimension on here in depth without having to do very much. It's just kind of that splatter painted thing in the background. And embossing, would be inherently raised above that. So, okay, so I'm going to add in some of these deciduous leaves. I'm going to add on a perimeter like this. So again, it's kind of like, like we're kind of looking at that. I don't know if I'm going to go it all the way around on the entire perimeter, but maybe I'll go like 3 sides to it. Okay, for me, this is going to represent up and down like this in a portrait format, okay? Okay, so I'm going to use a couple different deciduous trees, or plants, branches, and we'll see if it works or not. We'll see if it's heavy enough. Okay, like that. This is going to be the lighter bush, and then I'll go in with a kind of a bolder branch leaf configuration. Okay, one of the things with the StazOn ink, I'm finding that if I work faster, I'm getting a darker impression. If I hold down longer, it's lifting off of the surface here. It's kind of, it goes counter to most of what I know in using even Brilliance, Brilliance pigment inks or dye-based inks. The longer you hold down, right, the more of the media transfers to the surface, and then you lift up and you get a darker impression. And this one's the opposite. If I hold down too long, it's drying on my rubber or something like that, where it's making contact with it and it's coming off of the surface like that, leaving a lighter impression. Let's see. Midnight Sleigh Christmas card. That's awesome, Kim. So Kim, you're going to this paper for class Midnight Sleigh Ride. So you're going to be going with some wild horses on that sleigh ride. But that's, I don't know, that's what came to mind. I was thinking, man, that stamping with this paper, it was just, from an emotional standpoint, it was a little bit crazy because the thing was, it was out of control until I, splatter painted, and it everything came together. It was the thing that I really needed for the piece. It stayed. See, if I don't have that right there, you wouldn't even be able to see that. It would just be black in there, you know, and then you wouldn't be able to see any of the imagery in there like that. Now this one's more delicate, but you know, even with the really bold pine trees, spruce tree, it was really hard to see yesterday when I was doing that piece. And I kept adding more black ink, and it wasn't, you know, really doing very much. And then I added more. And I was thinking, I don't know, this might be the paper that kind of, you know, defeats me in terms of finding, I don't know, kind of a scenic stamping application for it. But now it's like, oh my God, this one's like so much fun. So I'm thinking the wilder, the, you know, I don't know if the wilder the better, but maybe the wilder the more kind of potentially exhilarating if it comes out right. All right, so adding this in here, I'm not getting too great of a straight impressions with it, but it's not too bad like that. Okay. All right, so go like that. And here's what I was going to do too on this one. I need to tape this in here. Someone was mentioning that process of taping that in there, so they wouldn't have to look for that everywhere when you're doing, when you're using the StazOn. If that person that mentioned is watching this, thank you for that tip. Okay, so I'm going to add these eagles up into the sky right here. So it's another excuse to just add something right over, you know, some of these beams or some of these irregular areas like that. Let me see. Kim ordered the orange, blue, green, red packs. Kim, you ordered every single pack there was, then it sounds like to me. Right? There wasn't more than 4, right? Okay, I put this away too fast. Now, I hope you guys use some of these packs right here. Because I know what we all do, including myself, because I had like a bunch of metallic packs that I bought over the years. And then last year, I finally got around to using them. At the beginning of like 2021, I started using them. But I had these like wild looking packs of cardstock, you know, the iridescence and the and other types of metallics. They were sent around to my you know, craft room for, I don't know, 15 years or something like that. I used them to matte, you know, some of my pieces before, but I never stamped on them before. So I hope you utilize these, because I don't know, for me, it's like watching these things kind of develop like that, or maybe it's watching them come together. The development really isn't quite so exciting for me, because it looks kind of wild like during the process, but it's like when you get it kind of finished off, it's really fun looking. Okay, now these are really small like this, and I have a lot of the, here's the thing that's kind of strange. It's happening on this one, maybe because my StazOn pad's getting a little bit drier, but I'm stamping over kind of an uneven surface because of all that splatter painted raised white paint on here. So do you see these splotchy impressions with the eagles like that? In this case, maybe the eagles should have been stamped first. I don't know. But you're stamping with StazOn ink like that, right? That's real similar to just you know, like a Sharpie pen, you know, with your permanent ink, right? You know, StazOn ink is a permanent ink. So let's see, I could show you here. But see those eagles right there? Really bad impressions. You can see where the raised little things, I mean, these little dots of dried paint aren't super high raised. They're not sticking above the page by like an eighth of an inch or anything like that, but they're enough to where it's giving me an uneven surface like that. So it's no big deal. I mean, just depending on what what thing you're using, just go in with your Sharpie like this and kind of fill in those spaces like that. Oh, I stamped these eagles too, where there was a ton of that splatter painted white. See, there's not so much splatter painted on the perimeter like that. That's why those perimeter impressions weren't as bad. But these ones are real solid images too. You know, the eagles, they're like, oh, the StazOn's already completely dry, but the leaves and branches, especially the leaves stamp. This one's a much smaller little solid space on here. I got a little bit of unevenness on these ones right around here, but they're kind of on the perimeter, so it's not really a big deal. Okay, so I've had to do this before on other types of surfaces, but you just kind of fill it in like that, and the eagles are filled in. See, like that, and then you got no problem with it. They're nice and solid silhouettes against that background. It's kind of weird, huh? Those beams, certainly. They seem to be in a certain area. I'm trying to get, okay, there it is right there. Okay, I was thinking maybe those beams there's some kind of patterning to it, but I don't know if there is. It's just kind of where that light is. Okay, so deciduous trees. Let's see here. They're not as bold because it's not like, an image like, I don't know where that, like this goes. There's a lot of surface area to this one right here, but just going in with your, your different leaves and whatever like this. I think if you fill in enough like that, it looks okay. Naturally, I think a little bit bolder the better. On something like this that's more open like this, though, if I gave it that little bit of a vignette with, some black brilliance like this around on the perimeter, it would close that off and it would kind of incorporate. See all that texturing right there on the side like that? Put in a little bit more of a vignette, a black vignette around, at least where these plants are like that. It would contain the edges a little bit more, and it would unify all of that imagery like that. But I'm not going to do it on this one right here because, again, I want this to just be a really straightforward, pretty much just straight stamping on here, kind of a exercise, just so, not everyone's going to want to do like a bunch of blending with, pigment ink over stuff. I mean, sometimes I don't even want to do it. In terms of creating something really nice and fast, okay? But it does look good when you do it, but sometimes you just want to do some quick cards, and I think we can have a pretty decent option using this type of paper. And especially now, some of you have, I don't know, what do you have? You have like 120 sheets or whatever coming to you. Yeah, some of you have like 4 or 5 packs of it now coming. I thought I had a lot of, different types of metallic papers. I have a bunch of Star Dreams and Pearl-X and Rainbow Holographics, the Recollections packs. But I think some of you got just like as many pieces of holographic or, metallic foils like today than I have. But yeah, try it out, use it, and it's a crazy surface to work with. I don't like the look of it in the process, okay, because it's like crazy looking. But work on your processes and build up your whatever your techniques that you're doing, your media, and get it to that point where it kind of unifies and brings everything kind of comes together. For me, it's the kind of the splatter painting and adding in all those little touches that I don't know. It brings that kind of special element to the piece, and it makes it so everything's not moving like crazy on there. Okay. Add some stickles and crystals if you have them and things like that. So you have that right there. We really need like a quote stamp or something like that. It's funny. The word stamp would kind of provide a little bit of a quiet kind of touch to these pieces right there. So that looks okay. I do like the bolder ones, with the pine trees and stuff like that. The bolder, like spruce large or something like that. If you're using word stamps and if you're stamping it directly on here, I don't know how that would look. Maybe you would stamp it on something like this, It's kind of strange to imagine that this standard holographic is now a quiet surface to work on in comparison to something like that. But if you stamped like a word stamp over this in black and, you put it up here and kind of framed it off in a black, frame and then framed this thing off in like a black mount, I think that would incorporate pretty well. But anyway, relatively fast cards here, in terms of, but definitely straightforward, simple stamping on here, just in terms of your impressions, your splatter paintings, and I don't know, I guess crystal applications on there. Use it. Especially some of you have, so many different colors now. But I want to do one of these pieces in a mirrored scene too. I don't know what I would do. I'd probably put the Lakeside Cove over here or something like this, and I would put these things down in that reflected mirrored area down here. If you don't know what I'm talking about, look up, the past couple of cards in my metallics playlist here on YouTube, but I have these mirrored sections down in here. I would do it on a horizontal like this, but having those types of things reflected down in the water area would look really kind of cool, I think. Or I was, I'm about to do a class coming up in, I don't know, was it about a week and a half or something like that for the follow-up for the Stamp Wars things, but I was going to suggest to people, we're going to do some two mirrored cards in that follow-up class for anyone who purchased that set. But I was going to tell them that if they have anything like a little imagery, like, if you have like a character and, someone's like walking in rain boots, or if they have like an umbrella or something like that, if you have like a figure down here and it's, they can be walking and reflected in that silver cardstock down below in that card format, that would be really cool. But having something like this behind would be kind of interesting. So like I said, if you're doing some things with like outline designs or something like that, I think that those types of things, or you have like some kind of thing that you're printing out like on a Cricut or something like that, where it cuts out those images and stuff like that. If you use that above or just pasted right over these types of backgrounds, I think that would look really good too. And it would kind of tame, that background area right here. Here, I'm just trying to incorporate in a traditional stamping way, into some sort of semblance of a scene, scenic stamping. All of this different type of look in here, but I think this paper would have a much, it's got much wider applications, for things like overlay applications in terms of cutouts and whatnot, on something like this too, if any of you have like a Cricut, where you're doing things like cutting out vinyls and things like that, I'm pretty sure that vinyl will stick to this type of surface, right? I don't know, has anyone done that before, where you can just lay it down on there and it adheres and you can, you can remove it and move it around or something like that too. But I think that the vinyl things over the top of this would look kind of interesting. And it would be an interesting application for it because I think this paper is smooth enough where it's like you're applying that vinyl to, I don't know, like a piece of plastic or something like that. So anyway, let's see. Anyone say anything here? The pack I ordered was to have 6 colors. It didn't. What happened, Maggie? I ordered correct. They sent me. Oh, they sent you the orange pack. Oh, okay. What I thought you were going to say, Maggie, was that you ordered the 6 color one and you thought you got like 4 or 5 colors, because there's a couple colors in this 6 color pack that are really similar to each other. Like I said, like these ones right here, they almost look like the same color, but this one's just a little bit lighter. I don't know if you can tell. Yeah, here in that kind of that glare right there. Yeah, this one's like a little bit of like a lighter yellow, and this one's more of this goldish, reddish. There's a little bit more reddish tinge in this one, but there's a couple colors in that multicolored pack that are really close to each other. I'm really surprised that they didn't have a blue in the multicolored pack. You know, like Alicia, I think she got the. I keep forgetting who ordered what here, but I think you got the blue pack, but there was like several colors of blue. I'm surprised they didn't mix in one of those blues as opposed to, doing like these two really similar colors right there. It would have mixed it up a little bit more, but maybe they wanted to keep that in a certain spectrum on the color wheel where it's going like from the yellows into the reds, and maybe the blues are, a different area or something like that. But yeah, 10 people coming to my cards class. They make 4 cards each. That's a lot of cards there, Kim. That sounds like fun. Thanks, Donna. Glad you like it. Let's say they will collect some dust. Try them out there. You pull a couple out there, and try a couple out there. It's really super fun. I really didn't know what to think about it, but watching that Stamp Wars one where they were using, I think she was using this one right here. I didn't see all those colors like that though. From the angle that she was stamping in, it looked more like that. Okay, see that angle right there? I saw this on her desk, and I thought, okay, there's going to be like a couple like, little like light pillars or something like that going across, but it's, here on my table with these lights on here, it's like that. If I saw that during Stamp Wars, I would be thinking, I don't know if I can use that because it's so dark. But like I said, it looked like that. So I thought there was just like going to be like a couple little streaks, and that was going to be the patterning. Not like that. So it's, it's the paper of 1,000, I don't know, different moods, and, look at this. You wouldn't even know this is pink right here, like a super pale pink. But the pink is like that, right? But then I put it right here. I don't know. I think someone, if they just took a look at this and didn't know that, they would think it was like a super dark foil or something like that. Or blue foil, right? That's like the predominant color right there. Not like a super pale pink. So, I don't know. All right, so anyways, I hope you like these pieces, or at least like, there's something to be said about these in some ways. They are really crazy. They don't have to be, though. It just depends on the way you use it. I'll try some different types of approaches going forward with these things too, and see how it comes out. Maybe I'll try some kind of overlay. I don't know, my wife has a scan and cut or something like that. I don't want to be cutting in a bunch of different images, but, like Snowy Covered Bridge or something like that. I could stamp some things out with some trees and have that scan and cut just cut all in these things as far as I've been told, and just lay it right over the top of it. Man, that would be like a really quick and easy card. You do stamp out some things on cardstock colored in the colored pencils and just have it cut out for you, and just stick it right over the top of that, so you'd have the benefit of the, Oh, there's that green in there. You have the benefit of those northern lights types of things happening in here, but you have the visibility and, ease of process with whatever matte cardstock and colored pencil imagery on there too, right? It might clash a little bit, though. So that would be the challenge of incorporating those two types of things in there. But if you kind of make that the aesthetic where there's a huge amount of contrast between sky and whatever, and they're not supposed to look super integrated, I think that can work like that. But I don't know, we'll see. A lot of testing to be done. This is definitely the loudest type of paper that I've used, I think. And I thought this was really loud, right? This is the Chrome Coat Rainbow Holographic. Now, I don't know, this to me is a little bit tame to that. This to me used to be like a 10 on the crazy, scale. But now when you have stuff like this in here with this type of patterning, I mean, this doesn't go down to like 100% black, okay? And it's a little bit more integrated in terms of that patterning here. This right here, it's like extreme contrast in terms of dark and light in there, and plus a gazillion other super vibrant tones. There's not a lot of different. There's not a lot of range of There's not a range of intensity in here. It's like all like crazy intense in terms of the colors. On this one right here, it's like you got some pastels. You get a little bit of intensity with that pink right there, but over here you get, pastelish looking colors. This one's like 100% everything. Yeah. So more exhilarating for us to work with, maybe. All right. So anyways, thanks for watching. Thanks for tuning into the channel. You got your crystals, ideas, stickles. If anyone has stickles, everyone remember what stickles are. But I don't know, add in whatever bling you have on these types of things, and then kind of do, I don't know, some other types of things in there to kind of like bring things back a little bit. Splatter painted, Dr. Martin's Bleed Proof White, if you don't have something like that. If you have something like a gesso or something like that, I think that could work in terms of your splatter painting. But some kind of, I don't know, unifying texture, if you're doing scenes, for like those starry types of things like that, just to give it a little bit of stability in that background where everything isn't all kind of moving about. And I think you'll get a lot of depth in there. And, splatter painting is fun and easy. It's one of those, like I said, I always say, it's something that I think we did in like kindergarten or something like that. But yeah, it's all fun little techniques like that and whatnot. Playing around with crystals and everything like that. Fun stuff. All right. Have a great rest of evening, morning, afternoon, whatever time it is for you. And thanks for tuning in. I'd love to hear from anyone that tries things out. If you discover something about the foils or whatnot, or I'd love to just see what you're doing. It doesn't have to be a Stampscapes thing or anything like that, but just let me show me what you're doing or what you've tried with it. Successes and, less than successful pieces so that we know kind of what to do. I think we can all learn from this type of thing. I mean, it's not something that people have been stamping on, traditionally. The first time I saw it, I saw one piece last year in a Northern Lights type of effect, and then, like I said, on Stamp Wars. So, I don't know. I think there's something that we can all learn from that and kind of increase the the learning curve, with seeing what other people are doing with it. Okay, so anyways, thanks again, everyone, and we'll see you hopefully on the next live stream.